Thank you very much for that introduction. It's been a turbulent year. The economy has suffered. The investment markets and brokerage firms, some are no longer in existence. Investors feel more cautious than ever, and frankly, the investment and financial security we all may have felt a year and a half ago has somewhat gone away. This morning, we'll be discussing three main areas: the past, as it relates to investment fraud and negligence; the present, and the change of the investment markets and regulatory markets; and the future. Probably the most important part to discuss is how to protect yourself, and therefore practice what I call financial self-defense. For some of us, these are all too painful of topics. We are disillusioned by failures of our financial markets, failures of our regulators and government, failures of communication and understanding we thought we had with our financial professionals, failures of character and morals as it relates to individuals who victimized us, and finally, some of our own failures that relate to our appreciation of our risk aversion and tolerance, and also failures to identify signs of financial fraud. These failures have taught us valuable lessons, albeit very expensive ones. So part of our goal here today is to review these lessons so that we may never have to allow them to occur again. First, we'll be discussing general affinity fraud, and thereafter general brokerage investment fraud. So what is affinity fraud and how does it work? It's simply put, it's when someone attempts to identify with you, and by identifying with you, saying that they either have a real, perceived, or fictitious similarity with you, and therefore gain your trust and take advantage of that trust. There are many good-looking group there. There are many type of things that they use to gain that trust. There's who looks like you. Obviously, children look like their parents, brothers and siblings look like each other, people from similar communities generally look like you. That is used all the time. However, there are many other ones. Political and economic. People will say to you, I too am a member of your political party. I too have donated money to the candidate. Economic. They'll say to you, we're in the same economic strata, so why would I try to harm you? Social achievement. They'll say, I too am a member of your club. I too went to Harvard. I too went to Yale. I too went to University of Florida. Interests. They'll say to you, I ride bicycles, like those gentlemen up there before. I too am a scuba diver. They try to identify with anything they can. Religion. They say to you, I too am a member of your temple. I too am a member of your church. Therefore, you should trust me. But much like anything else, those that you trust the most can do the most damage. So where was this before? And as we read from the paper regarding fraud in the past, it's been around for hundreds, if not thousands of years. It's in our fables, Jack and the Beanstalk and the trading for the cow for the magic beans. In fact, it's been around by, not the name Ponzi scheme, but the actual scheme it's around has been around since the 1300s. So the question now is, why does it all of a sudden seem more prevalent? The sad reason is, for number one, is it does occur more often now. And the reason why is over the last 10 and 20 years, with the increase of the money supply and individuals generally getting wealthier, it's made more targets. But second, through good reporters and good newspapers, we now learn of Ponzi schemes that occur in Broward County over the last week, that occurred in Sarasota over the last few months, that occurred across the country and also across the world. And unfortunately, as we see that, we realize that we are targets and we have to protect ourselves. So you have to be on guard. But what do you look for? Here are the items. Number one, a private rather than a public investment. It's important to note when it comes to Ponzi schemes or affinity fraud, the underlying fictitious business not only doesn't have to make a profit, it doesn't have to earn revenue. So the person who's discussing it with you, the perpetrator, can make it up to be anything. I have heard examples from it to be promissory notes on cars, stocks, commodities trading, all the way to worm farms, where they would somehow, the worms just keep on reproducing in perpetuity and they could sell the worms across the country. Unusual or complicated sounding investments. If you can't understand it, you shouldn't invest in it. Promise in history of high returns, short terms for high returns, and continuous stream of returns despite market volatility. This is the carrot. This is what they get to offer you. We're all investors. We hope to have those type of things. But generally speaking, nothing, especially with investments, travels in a straight line, and you've seen volatility in the market, in the economy. If you see something that is consistent for what they say decades and decades, unless it's a CD at a bank that was a 30-year CD, chances are it should cause you a lot of concern. Open-ended. We all like to feel special. We all like to feel that someone has chosen us for something. However, when they say to you, well, just keep putting your money back in and we're going to give you account statements showing what that is, that's a warning sign. Open to new investors, even if they claim it's not. That is one of the keys that they use all the time. They come in and say, look, sorry, your amount of money is too small, but then you get a call a week or a month later saying, no, you know what, you're special. We'll let you be part of it. Seeking you out to be the referral source. They know that if they show you a result, even if it's a fictitious result, you become happy with it. You want to tell other people about it. If they have you seek that out yourself, though, and ask you to do it, it's a warning sign. Little or no oversight. We're not talking about regulatory right now. What we're talking about is where do the funds go, where are they directed? Most legitimate firms, when they do investments, will send it to a third party. It's a custodian at a bank or a brokerage firm. If they are unwilling to do that, and you do not get paper statements from an independent third party, then you have to be concerned. In fact, as everyone knows now today, most brokerage statements can be copied and altered with a simple computer and a copy machine. So it's important to see where the statements come from. You want to, in yourself, independently check the statements. It's okay to call up the brokerage from the bank and say, could you do me a favor, would you send me one directly from the home office, rather than going through the person who's trying to